He had loved them with his life, and now he was going to love them with his death. He was going to allow himself to be broken and his lifeblood to be spilled out in order to atone for every act we ever did that hurt him and every sin that ever separated us from God. I think the reason that Jesus responded so well to Mary breaking the perfume jar and pouring it out as an act of love is he said, in a few days, something very similar to that is going to happen to me. And I am going to be broken, and my life and my life's blood is going to be spilled out. But I am going to love outlandishly, lavishly, recklessly, without regard to cost. I will love to that point. That's how Jesus loved. And that's how you and I, how we need to love if we're going to be able to build a life of no regrets. As it turns out, the measure of our lives, the quality of our lives, is not so much determined by how much we are loved, but how much we are able to love others. And now let's just be honest with ourselves and each other. It's really hard to love that way, isn't it? If we're really honest, what we have to say, our love is sometimes it's inconsistent, it's conditional, it's withheld, it's expressed in sometimes unhealthy ways. It's just like, but this kind of reckless, outlandish, lavish, no regard to cost, give it all kind of love. Man, it is so hard to love that way. We want to, but it's so hard. You know, who else could say, I love my spouse like that. I love my kids like that. I love my friends like that. I love Jesus like that. Why is that so hard for us? Why can we struggle so much? Have you ever thought about that? And what can we do about it? To actually love with God's kind of love. I think there are two reasons, and that's just a soundtrack to my message. I hope you enjoy it. There are two reasons why we can struggle loving that way. The first one is this, and we'll show it to you, because we can have a possession problem. And that is that we just don't have the kind of love that we need to give. You see, here's the reality. This kind of love, this outlandish, lavish love, this kind of love that never fails, that never breaks down, that always gives, this kind of love is not native to the human heart. It's just not. I kind of look at it like this. There are certain kind of loves that are natural to us human beings. They are native to the human heart. You know what kind of loves those are? Well, first of all, there's sexual love. Yeah, that's very native to the human heart. The Greeks called it epithumia. It was a lusting. It was an inner drive and hunger and desire to express oneself sexually with someone else. That's a form of love. We don't have much problem with that. And then there's also this thing called romantic love. The ancient Greeks used the word eros, in that heightened emotional state, being all worked up, that feeling of being loved, that euphoria that you have toward another person. You know, that's natural to the human heart. We can love like that. Guys can, right until the moment they say I do. And they can't anymore. So that's a natural love to the human heart. There's family love. We can just have this natural affection for members of our family. I mean, go figure. I mean, sometimes our parents were this and that. Sometimes our kids are this or that. But we're family, and for some reason we have a love for them. And while we can argue, we can fight, and we disagree. If somebody else says anything against them, we come to their defense because there's this family kind of love that's native to the human heart. And then there's, I suppose we could call it a friendship kind of love. when they're a person or people, and for whatever reason, maybe it's things we have in common, maybe it's experiences that we've had, maybe it's just a personality thing, but it's just like we feel like we're in sync with them, we get along with them, we enjoy them, we grow to genuinely love them, electively, freely, just because we're friends. And all of these loves, these sexual loves, and romantic love, and family love, and friendship love, they're native to the human heart. We can all do those things. We can all love like that. All of them, some of them, we can do it. It's who we are. It's what it means to be human, to love like that. The problem is that every one of those loves can fade. They just can. They can run out. They can end. They can be extinguished. They can be broken. All of them can. And if we were honest with ourselves, we'd say, yeah, had it happened. I know that feeling. I used to feel so romantically, and now Or I have a family member that I just absolutely, I don't know if I say I even love them anymore. We're so distant, so alienated. They can all break down. They can all fail. And every love that is native to the human heart is good and righteous and pure in its proper content and expression, but they can all fail. And so if we want to love outlandishly, lavishly, no matter what, over the time, without regard to consequences, no matter how we're treated or what happens, we need another kind of love, a different kind of love, but a love that's not native to the human heart. There is such a love. Because what we have is we have God. And God possesses another kind of love in his heart. Well, the Greeks called this, epithumia, and they called this eros, and they called this storge, and they called that philos. They had a whole different word when they talked about God and God's love. The word was, I bet some of you know it was agape. It's the kind of love that stems not from circumstances, but from who you are. It's the kind of love that 1 Corinthians 13 says never, ever fails. It can't be beaten up enough. It can't be neglected enough. It can't be left on its own enough. It can't be mistreated enough that it can ever stop loving. It's the kind of love that says, I'm going to love you no matter what. It doesn't even matter what comes back at me. It never runs out of fuel. It never runs out of energy. It never runs out of power, no matter what. And see, that's the kind of love that's in God's heart. It's even more than that. It's the kind of love that is God. Remember back from a few weeks ago, God is love. It's not just something he does, it's something he is. And so if we want to live lavishly, if we want to love with that kind of love that really leads to a no-regret life, then we need a love beyond a human love. We need a love that's not native to our heart that somehow we need to get. So get this. Here's the next slide, Mike. Somehow, to love completely, we must tap into God's unique kind of love that never fades. It's the only way. Because the love we need is not native to our heart, and somehow we've got to tap into it. And somehow we can tap in to the love of God, and we can get it flowing into us. Then we would have a love that we can give to others, and we can love in that way that changes everything and leads to a no-regret life. We talk a lot today about the energy crisis, right? Watch the news today. At some point, they're going to talk about the energy crisis. And what I find fascinating about the energy crisis is we have energy all around us. It doesn't matter where you look. In oil fields in North and South Dakota or Alaska or off the coast, there's enough oil right there to fuel our country for 100 years.